It said, make me want to holler and throw up both of my hands. There's a lot going on, Rev, and as I've looked at where we are now, and especially with some of the folks who've been calling in and saying it just to me underlines more the importance that we need to be strategizing and organizing. I'm not necessarily. I mean, of course, we know that there are times when we have to react. We have Trayvon Martins that have been buried and their assailants walking the streets. We've had Michael Browns laying in the street and gotten phone calls for our reactive response. But this, to me, calls for a time where we have to employ the keenest sense of strategy about how we're going to use our GOTV efforts, how we're going to use our national organizing efforts over the next year and over next year in 2018 midterm to further this cause. Because we can rant and rave and rail and conspiracize. I made that up, conspiracize, just want you to know. We can conspiracy theorize and everything else if we want to for, all show and all week long and all that. But if we don't put it to action, then we discount ourselves to never receive results. And that's the reason why I've been telling people as we've been doing this work, we're organizing, to get folks to the national convention. I mean, that, in my opinion, and I don't want to over promote it, but that, in my opinion, is very important when we talk about what our proper response ought to be and how we got to deal with Donald Trump in this 2017 presidency. It's just we don't have any other choices. If we can't communicate how the black business community should work with the immigration community and the civil rights community should deal with the immigration community and the community of racial profiling and discrimination and police brutality, if we can't figure out how we can all make it, the media community, how we can all make it work so that we can win, then we're wasting our time.
And that's why we're having all of them there. And people should go to www.nationalactionnetwork.net, www.nationalactionnetwork.net to pre-register or call to the toll-free number 1-877-626-4651, 1-877-626-4651. And one of the things that you said that really touched on what I think is important is with the tone and tenor of this administration, only what you can put into action is going to matter. Because all of the statements and feelings and analysis and all of that, they don't care. They have told you that they have no problems with hurting your feelings and other stuff. So, I mean, I was talking to some people in Ferguson this week on the phone, and I was telling them that one of the things that happened during the protests in Ferguson, where some of the things got violent, one of the reasons that those of us was involved was able to immediately get the Justice Department to come in and back a lot of the policing up that was bringing in tanks and all kind of stuff, is because the Justice Department under the Attorney General then Eric Holder, who be at our convention, and the President under Barack Obama did not want to be known and seen as that. They said this is bad for the country. You can't tear gas and rolling tanks on students. So you're dealing with how they feel, or not students, on young people in the neighborhood. This administration may say send in more. I mean, I think people need to understand that they don't care that we don't like it. They care if we do something about what we don't like. And I think that's why we got to really have a careful strategy on what it is we're going to do. Because other than that, they are fine with call them a bunch of names. The more you say you're hurting, the more some of that crowd likes it.
Right. It's a part of their strategy. I was listening this weekend when one of the commentators said, "Look, you better believe that Bannon and all these guys, they like insinuating mess. This is why Donald Trump came back out this week saying, double down on this effort. Well,
That's right.
I do think that Obama, well, this is the mess because why? Because they want to major in mess, or they're majoring in mess to get you off on that while they're over there changing laws, taking away your health care, taking away your benefits, striking a budget that basically cuts everything that we done had worked for the last 50 years, including the stuff that LBJ put in there in the Great Society. I mean, this, but you want to be worried about what he said about Barack Obama. Don't get me wrong. Wrong is wrong, and yes, he did lie, and we expect Congress to handle that. But we got some real issues that require some real strategy on the demonstrations, on our strategic buy-in, because a lot of this stuff, Reverend, you know this, a lot of this stuff is secretly backed by corporations. We got to figure out, we got to call out those corporations that's a part of the American Legislative Exchange Council, that's ALEC, that's putting this stuff together. We got to deal with them. That's got to happen. We can't be majoring on the minors. We got to make sure that we focused on what the real deal is.
And we have got to deal with it at the polls, which is the only way there we're empowered. We got to deal with how we deal with our money. We got to deal with how we manage money, like our pensions and other things that needs to be. All of this is what we're going to deal with, and what we have to deal with. Because let me tell you something. When we met week before last with Attorney General Sessions, one of the reasons why I was saying that we've got to show them what we can do that would impact them. You're talking about a man that was nominated for Attorney General, that we went with chapter and verse about why he shouldn't be Attorney General, his position on voting, his statements on this, his actions on that. Even produced a letter from Mrs. Coretta Scott King saying why he shouldn't be a federal judge. And he was confirmed anyway. So you're dealing with people that have a mentality of, you shot your best shot and I'm still here. So unless you can do something to me, that's just tough. That's the mentality you're dealing with. With all that was said last year, they brought out tapes and they brought out what he did with women and all. Trump ran an electoral strategy and won. So they ain't scared of you talking. They're not afraid of you woofing. You got to be able to really do something. And that is why I'm telling people what I'm telling them. Because, it is like a bully in the schoolyard, Reverend. If you have a bully in the schoolyard and he talks about what he can do to you and he can't do it, and you win the